This presentation is over the experiment we had to perform. It was the gummy bear experiment over osmosis and diffusion with hypertonic and hypotonic solutions. What we did in this experiment is we had to get gummy bears and we had to put one gummy bear in just regular tap water and let it sit there for 6 hours and see what happened. Then we had to get another gummy bear and we put it in a cup with tap water, but also with a whole bunch of salt, enough salt to where the salt wouldn't dissolve anymore. So a pretty good abundance of salt. I also added a gummy bear and I put it in one with just a little bit of salt, where it didn't have quite as much salt, like it all dissolved, to see kind of what would happen. But what we were testing during the experiment was osmosis, and a little background of what it is. Osmosis is what occurs when liquids flow through a permeable membrane from a diluted to a concentrated environment, meaning like high salt content to another. We're meaning that when things are moving from one side to another. What a semi-permeable membrane does is it allows some molecules to pass through them, but this most commonly will occur in liquids. To understand osmosis, you have to understand what hypertonic and hypotonic mean. Hypertonic solutions have a higher concentration of solutes, while hypotonic ones have a comparatively lower concentration. This is also diffusion, which is wherein the active movement of a substance from hypertonic to hypotonic. So meaning like a higher salt, something with a higher salt or whatever is going to pull like water or whatever from the other side across the membrane. But yeah, they do this. It's the movement of hypertonic to hypotonic until an equal concentration from them is reached, where they're both even. So it'll take so much from the other side until it is equal to the other side. So it's not going to take all of it, but until it all levels out. During the experiment, the gummy bears in the salt water, they shrunk because of osmosis causing the water to leave the gummy bear because of the salt content in the water pulling it. So whenever the gummy bear, because gummy bear made of sugar and all that, and has a little bit of that, will have a salt content to it as well. The salt in the water was a higher concentration than the salt in the gummy bear, so it pulled that any kind of water from the gummy bear into the water. And so it shrunk it a little bit. The bear in the tap water expanded because the water moved by diffusion through the bear's semi-permeable membrane to reach the isotonic state. So the water from the just regular tap water the bear was soaking it in because the salt content or whatever in the gummy bear was higher than in the water, so it was pulling it. Kind of like how dehydration works. So then when my third one that I did, I put about half of the amount of salt in the third cup and found that the bear just slightly expanded, meaning that the salt content in the water wasn't more than the salt in the gummy bear, so just a little bit of salt, about half the amount of salt, actually did the opposite of what a whole bunch of the salt did, which was understandable. And then kind of looking around, wondering, like, whenever they're shrinking and everything, they keep the size of the gummy bears. So when I was looking around, I found out that the gummy bears keep their shape regardless of the size they are. Like, expanding or shrinking because of the gelatin construction in them, which is where like all of the sugar and all the salt content was. But these are the gummy bears I used when I just broke its head, but it's kind of falling apart now. This is the no salt. He's very fragile now, but he's very large because here's him compared to a normal gummy bear. So this is the one that was just sitting in the regular water. This is the one that was in all of the salt water. Around the same. And then this is the one that was in just a little bit of salt. The one that I did just in addition to see what would happen. This one expanded a little bit. He was not quite as big, but he's falling apart too. You can see he's bigger, about half the or double the size. This is it compared to the one with all of the salt. So you can see a little bit bigger. Sorry, they're falling apart now. But yeah, so my findings, I found that the amount of salt definitely does matter. With more salt, the gummy bear does expand and it starts to break down that construction of the gelatin, and that's why it starts to get a little bit more fragile and it's falling apart, is because all that water in it is breaking it all down. Thanks.